I love, by the way, that we came to this being like, I just really want to make a movie with dead hostages. Like, I wanted to for forever.
I'm just thinking, well, of course, the tone, the kaiju have to be witty to one another, but I'm just thinking about if there's a bank being like, someone holding people hostage in a bank for money or whatever, and it's a serious scene, and then the whole bank gets annihilated by a kaiju's foot coming down on it, and suddenly, like, there's a bigger problem than this bank heist. And it like tilts up and there's a huge kaiju like terrorizing the city.
It's absolutely dark and terrible. And I'm in. I love it.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writers' Room Game Show Season 3, baby!
Season 3?
Wow. It's the podcast where
every week...
somewhere,
but decided I didn't.
It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from a set of random prompts given to us by a big Hollywood studio. Seth, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. You know that doing that long note that I just left prompted Zoom to open up a notification that said, recording music? Use professional tools with some blah, 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 blah. So,
do we need to pivot? Do we need to pivot the show to a music podcast?
Yes, I think so. And I love that a sound I made a machine think music is happening.
Well, it's because you have such a beautiful musically voice.
Oh, such a beautiful voice.
Musically voice. That doesn't make sense.
No, it's actually the term in the industry.
Wow.
I come from my parents.
A long line of musicians.
I actually do. I come from a long line of musicians. And I did not carry the gene. I am not carrying the tradition forward. I don't have.
Took it forward for your generation.
I can play instruments. Like I can actually play music. I can't do it.
I think we should make a band because I play music as well. I'm a very musically person. Apparently,
I think we should make a band.
Yes. What would we be called?
The Writers' Room Bandstand.
Maybe like Gremlins is good.
I don't think so. I think that sounds bad. I think that Gremlins is bad is a better ring to it.
Okay, well, we'll workshop the name, but welcome back to the Writers' Room Game Show. This is the first episode of Season 3, which means we've so far developed a lot of movies together, Seth, and most of which you can hear on writersroomgame.show. Actually, all of them you can hear.
It's like, which ones did we leave on the cutting room floor? Because I don't think that we filtered only the good.
But just right up front, you can also join our Discord. There's a link in the show notes as well as the site. Come hang out with other listeners of the show. Me and Seth are there as well. You can also review our show not only on Apple Podcasts, but also Spotify. If you haven't jumped off Spotify because of Joe Rogan,
which you should.
You can review our podcast there.
Weirdly, many have jumped off because of us, but we're available on all platforms, not just Spotify.
Not just Spotify. They have not given us millions of dollars, although that'd be nice.
It would be very nice. Actually, no, we'd turn it away. We'd be like, no, Joe Rogan. And they'd be like, sorry. And we'd be like,
we actually took this from Joe Rogan. It's like, okay.
Okay, cool. Sorry. And it wasn't the money that we originally gave Joe Rogan. It's actually the money he had prior to the deal we took from his safe.
We are Robin Hooding Joe Rogan and giving it to you.
Rob from the Joe Rogan and give to the Writers' Room Game Show.
Well, yeah. If you're new to the show, like I said, we're going to develop a movie. And, I hope we're still getting new people that are new to the show. The stats tell us that most people listening to the show have been listening to us for a while.
Yeah. So you know what? That means you jerks need to tell your friends about us. Like, what have you been doing? What are you just sitting here enjoying this podcast privately? Like, are you ashamed of us? Like, could you please kindly, I don't know why I'm being so hostile. Could you, if you could find it in your heart, please. And you're not jerks. We love you and appreciate you. Please, if you could, just tell one person. Honestly, if you just tell one person, like if everybody, all of you just told one person, we would then double. And that person wouldn't listen to it. We would then double our
I'll pitch how you should do it. Seth, you're one of my random friends. I'm a listener to the show. Hey, Seth.
Oh, yes, sir.
Would you
that
like
was
to
British.
To...
That wasn't a problematic. It was meant to be British, but it came out a little Jar Jar Binks-ish, and could be interpreted badly.
Hey, Seth.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, it's me.
Would you like to listen to a fantastic, hilarious, really interesting podcast?
No.
Oh, well, I got an even better thing for you. It's the same thing I described just now, and it's
sold.
It's called the Writers' Room Game Show. And if I tell you and you listen to it and then you tell another friend and they tell another friend
I'm in. I'm in. Because
Please
you pitched
take
it
this
so
out,
well.
Renee.
I'm in.
Please take this out.
No, Rene, keep every second of it, Rene.
I was trying to describe
Rene,
a
you're
Ponzi
fired if you
scheme.
cut any of this.
I was trying to describe a Ponzi scheme.
I mean, you succeeded. Like 100% succeeded the second you started doing it. And that's why my character, who is 100% not racially problematic, is in and completely bought it.
Oh my God. Would you look at that?
Oh dear God. Oh my God, the studio's called.
The studio's calling. I'm going to answer it. Hello?
Good choice.
Hey, studio. Yeah. No, it's good
Normally,
to hear from
this
you
is
as well.
the time where I promote other things like our
We're very,
Discord, which you
very
should go
excited.
check out, or our Instagram, Writers Room Game Show, Writers Room Game.
we wanna make a
actually
hit
know
too.
what it is. Or 1-866 HEY-WRGS, the number you can call to give us notes
Plus.
on our ideas. But again, seriously, tell one friend, just one friend, one
Okay.
British friend.
got it.
Any accents will do.
Okay,
they can
thank
all
you
hear
so
our
much.
podcast.
All right, bye. Studio said this season they're wanting a movie idea that's going to gross them at least $30 million plus at the box office. So
Well,
we're going to need some hits this season.
congratulations. We are 100% in.
But they also said they emailed you an assignment. So here we
They did. So real quick, I'm just going to copy and paste this. I'm pretty sure it should all end up in the... All right. We're kicking it off. Oh, by the way, we should mention we reset our prompt database, and so we're going to start getting genres we may have gotten in previous seasons because we felt that last season we were hitting the bottom of the barrel. So
go. We definitely were.
here goes. Let's see. The genre for episode 1 of season 3 is Kaiju. So big monster movie. We are
I love that. I love that.
The tone is witty. Witty. Once again, we're talking about witty banter. The demographic, so specific. Fans of Nacho Libre.
Ooh, love that.
Did you put that in there? I think you put that one in there. The mandate, the studio wants in on some of that live action remake money. Pick an animated film to remake and remix in the live action space with an unlimited budget. So,
Interesting. Well, I love the idea of a kaiju movie, but it's an animated remake. So maybe we pick an animated film that doesn't have a kaiju in it and make it a
500%.
kaiju movie.
And we got to talk about what makes it work for fans of Nacho Libre.
Okay, so but we also have the twist of season 3.
Yes, that is correct. So, as we mentioned on last week's show, we're not only starting out with the studio's assignment, but Ryan, you and I are coming to the table with some ideas we'd like to work in. Every writer comes to the table with, they don't come to blank slate. Well, we all have our aspirations and things we'd like to do with each of our projects, and we're hungry to do. So, this season, we're starting each episode with a set of pre-existing ideas that Ryan and I are coming to the table with, and I'm going to generate those right now.
Generating them randomly, just like we do our assignment. Well, we get our assignment from a studio.
But we get these ideas from our brains. Now, these 5 ideas, if we are able to use any of them, they will count as 2 points each toward our final score, which will help us to get toward that perfect 40, perfect 45, I think would be the...
Perfect 50? I think they
Oh,
count
50. That's right.
2
Perfect
points
50. So each of these count 2 points each. So, and why does that matter this season, Polly?
Oh, yes.
We're good at this.
Why does it matter? I'm glad you asked, Seth, because at the end of the show, we will get our number score. And if that score is above 35, in between 35 and 50, that means that idea was sold to the studio. Any idea below 35, unfortunately, is going to be left on the cutting room floor. Because I love soundboard Seth this
Me
season.
too. Ones that I haven't even added our own sounds to. It's still the default sounds that were
So
shipped.
there's a little bit more stakes this season. We're adding in these new ideas, and then we'll see. We'll see if hopefully every idea of this season is sold to the studio. But I mean, I guess we'll see. It depends on how good we do.
So our 5 ideas are for this episode are magical Christmas ornament or ornaments. Some of these come from previous episodes. An abandoned theme park, a talking pet. We've got 2 in here from
Talking kaiju, possibly.
Talking Kaiju. We've got 2 in here from Domesticated, our very first episode. A body swap. Okay, we got 3 in here from previous first episode. And dead hostages. So magical Christmas ornament, and abandoned theme park, talking pet,
hostages.
body swap, and dead hostages.
And our animated remake. Here we go.
The Writers' Room game show has begun.
Okay, so we're starting. We got a Witty Kaiju movie for fans of Nacho Libre that is going to be a live action remake of an animated film with unlimited budget. And then we can incorporate those ideas if it makes sense with our story.
Correct.
A lot of domesticated ideas. I guess first off, we need to find which animated movie we're going to remake. Like I said earlier, I would love the idea of just throwing a kaiju into an animated film that didn't have one previously, because I think that's, with any live action remake, I don't want to sit here and hate on the Disney live action remakes. I've really liked a few of them.
Yeah, Jungle Book especially.
Something like Lion King, which is basically the same exact movie, but in CG as opposed to 2D with less songs. I would love to do something that is a little bit more like take the premise and like take the general idea, but we need to mix it up and like make it a new experience that where you can enjoy each one uniquely. You don't have to like compare and contrast like the same exact story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. What if we did like a recent animated film? Like what if we just straight up rebooted Luca as a kaiju film?
Oh my gosh, like a kaiju from the ocean.
Or
like
Encanto. Let's just do the very most recent.
Here's the thing though, Encanto, I forget who I talked about this, but it's basically an X-Men movie where this family, they're like all mutants that all have, we could do like Encanto as like a modern superhero movie.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't seen it in full. I've only seen it in pieces. Okay. So
I want to do one that we've seen, Ben, and we know the story well enough
100%.
to do. I don't even want to look at like I want it to be a film where we know it. We don't need to look at the Wikipedia to like mine
we
story
know
ideas.
It through and
we
through.
know it through and through, and we can take that and do something new with it. You know.
Okay. Well,
Who Framed Roger Rabbit also does not count as an animated movie.
That's a hybrid. We're not talking hybrids.
This isn't 90s, but it would be hilarious to do a live action Shrek movie.
What are you doing in my swamp?
I'm not as familiar with Shrek. I saw it once, and I was like, that was enough for Shrek.
Me. They judge me before they even know me.
I have a distinct memory of my dad taking me out of school early to go see Shrek in theaters.
We're Back, a dinosaur story. Did you ever see that?
I wish I knew. No, but I know of it. I think I saw it when I was a very young kid. Steven Spielberg Presents is the subtitle, right?
Yeah, it was an Amblin animated film from Don Bluth. And also, it has forever caused me to, whenever I say the words "We're Back," I cannot continue without saying a dinosaur story, even if it's under my breath.
It's like, what's the Michael Jackson concert documentary? This Is It.
Oh.
Same thing. I would say This Is It, and then I'd say Michael Jackson's This Is It. I wish I knew
Michael Jackson's whatever, like DuckTales, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Michael Jackson's DuckTales, Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
We bring Michael Jackson back to the dead too.
I don't know if that does good for the world, to be quite honest.
I wish I knew We Were Back better, because isn't that about like dinosaurs coming to modern day?
100%. And it's about a bad guy who has like a screw for an eye, and then like a bunch of crows, and at the end they all just like cover his body, and for for a second they go and then they fly away, and only the screw is left. It's just like this like move, crap. And it's horrifying. Like scars as a kid.
That like would lend itself to the kaiju thing, because it's like suddenly dinosaurs come back to modern life, and it's just like they're terrorizing the city and stuff.
But they don't mean to. See, that's what's fun. Is like they're really happy, like fun dinosaurs. So like it'd be great to do I'm sure this has been. Is there a kaiju movie where the kaiju is really nice and not meaning to?
Godzilla is like he doesn't mean to be a bad guy. He's protecting everyone.
You're right. That's basically every kaiju movie then. Yes. So, but I'm talking like they're super nice and just want to hang out, but they cannot help it that they are huge and destroying everything. Like that's actually a fun concept for a kaiju movie.
But are we, because We're Back, I assume it's from the dinosaur's point of view, right? Like they're
it's
the
from
main
this
characters.
Little girl's point of view, I think. It's because
this kaiju movie is going to be like when I see fans of Nacho Libre, I think it's like that sort of Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre kind of like weird, quirky comedy that's like almost shot like a Wes Anderson movie that has
it's not what's his name, the director of Napoleon Dynamite.
Mike White, actually, I think, wrote and directed it. But I think it's the same. Actually, maybe it might have been the Napoleon Dynamite
I thought it was the
director
Napoleon Dynamite guys
with script by Mike White.
I've never seen Nacho Libre. I've seen pieces of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen it probably 50 times.
Yeah, Jared Hess directed it. So maybe 50 times. 50 times?
Maybe not 50, maybe 30. But I've seen it a lot.
Okay. That's more sensible.
But it's one of those, like 2006 was like right beginning of my high school years, and it's like one of those stupid,
I was a full blown adult, so
yeah, totally.
I was above such things.
But it's just like that quirky sort of silly comedy that it like rides the line between like stupid and genius, almost like a Hot Rod kind of comedy,
Yeah,
where it's like sort of satirical, but it's mostly just like stupid quirky comedy. Like I feel like he's just leaned into that.
We're Back is told in flashback framing device, where an orange Tyrannosaurus named Rex tells his tale to a runaway bird named Buster. A scientist wants children of the present day to see real dinosaurs, so he invents brain-grain cereal to anthropomorphize them and increase their intelligence, and hires an alien to go back in time to capture dinosaurs. That's a lot going on.
So much.
That's so much in like 2 sentences. Give the dinosaurs the cereal and send them to the present day. So he gives them the cereal. Okay, so first he creates...
The dinosaurs. He brings them them to the present first, and then...
Well, first he invents a cereal to anthropomorphize dinosaurs, and then finds an alien named Vorb and sends Vorb back in time to capture the dinosaurs, give them the brain grain cereal, send them back to the present day. And then he collects these dinosaurs named Rex, a blue triceratops named Woog, purple pterodactyl named Elsa, a green Parasaurolophus named Dweeb.
This kind of reminds me of, did you see the Dwayne Johnson Rampage movie?
Is that exactly what this is?
No,
I would like for that to be the exact plot
that was the
of
movie
Rampage.
that like the villain of that movie is sort of a toxic gamer who like likes the game Rampage and develops like
a serum. I did not know that's what it was about.
It kind of like develops this serum to whatever, like make this like gorilla and like make these huge monsters out of these animals. Of course the plan goes wrong and stuff, but it's like this kind of ridiculous thing that somehow made sense in this like grounded action movie world. I wouldn't mind like kind of taking some of those ideas and using it. I think that our talking pet idea, I think that can easily be like, they can test this cereal on like a dog or something of one of the main characters in the beginning to prove
and then the
that
dog
it works.
talks.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then like abandoned theme park, we could easily have like a set piece in an abandoned theme park where it's like the military trying to
avoid being noticed as real dinosaurs when they're in New York, they disguise themselves as animatronics in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. There's an easy pivot.
I need to watch this movie, dude.
I think we need to just watch it right now on the podcast.
Can we watch a clip at least?
Yes, we should. Here we go. We're Back.
We got 30 minutes left. We can squeeze in a
spend
clip.
it watching 30 minutes of We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
Here we go. You're listening to the trailer for We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, 1993.
Who was lonely.
It's my parents. They're just never around.
And
it's grim.
Longed for adventure.
I'm running away to the circus.
While millions of light years away, someone heard them.
Greetings, friends. I'm Captain New Eyes. I'm trying to make a few wishes come true. I invented this. It's a wish radio.
Oh, this guy rules.
I wish I had a friend.
He sent them some help.
They want to meet you. What do you say?
From the prehistoric past.
This looks like from the animators of Adventures in Odyssey.
Try not to step on anybody.
You gotta be kidding! Welcome to New York City!
What are you guys anyway?
Dinosaurs, actually.
Dinosaurs, huh? You do got that look.
Nice to meet you.
Wait, that kid didn't know they were dinosaurs?
Through high-flying adventures.
Hey, it's the same year Jurassic Park came out.
So loud. This is the loudest trailer I've ever heard.
Through rush hour traffic.
Wow.
They're making their way to the big top.
There, right there.
But Professor Screw Eyes
There he is.
has other plans.
Oh man, Screw Eyes.
Standard contract. You want to sign?
Why is he named Screw Eyes?
I think the main character is named Dr. New Eyes, too. Everybody's got eyes in their name.
Don't let that happen.
Push it to the contract.
What are you, crazy? You'll be pulverized!
What is it with...
Yeah, we can
This guy's nuts.
We're back.
like all of this stuff right here in the middle of the trailer is not in our movie.
John Goodman.
Roll back to the dawn of time when Earth was smoking and the lava flowed.
Martin.
That's the song I remember.
Comedy myself.
Jay Leno.
You're gonna love
Oh, no. Jay Leno.
Julia Child.
Welcome.
Julia Child. This is the most Rand and Walter. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. This is the most
Child.
random cast I've ever heard of, featuring the voices of John Goodman, Martin Short. Like, all right, yeah, 90s comedy. Jay Leno. Okay, I mean, yeah, sure, we're there.
Jay
Julia
Leno.
Child. What? Walt and
Julia
Walter Cronkite.
Child.
Oh my God! Thank God. I wondered if they were gonna deliver Cronkite. Like, did they get Cronkite? Did they get him? They got him.
Roll back the rock. Turn back the clock.
Based upon the best-loved children's book by Hudson Talbot. We're Back, a dinosaur story.
So we call it
Okay,
"We're
so-
Here," a kaiju story.
I love it. I love it.
Still,
It's in
I'm
the
sorry, I
movie.
can't get over that the kid was like, "Who are you?" Like, "We're dinosaurs." He goes, "Dinosaurs, huh?" Like, what the hell did you think they were, kid? Like, what did you think these things were?
When did this? Because it came out the same year as Jurassic Park. Is this after Jurassic Park?
It would have been being developed simultaneously.
Which is so strange that it's like Steven Spielberg's like, we're going to have the biggest dinosaur year of all
And
time.
also a Holocaust film. It's all going to be the same year.
Yeah, all in one year. Well, we got 25
I mean, I think
minutes
it's
to
made
make
already.
this
You
thing,
watch that.
so
It's
let's-
done. It's
I like where we're going. This brother sister. I like the idea of that. And
I don't think they're a brother sister. I think they're just
are they not just friends?
Well, yeah, because she seemed like she worked in a high rise, like she was in her parents' office or something in this high rise office, and like they were never present, is what she said. My parents, they're just never around, which, by the way, so sad. And then he was like on a raft in the Hudson River.
I guess you're right.
Is he a homeless kid? Like he's a drifter.
I like the idea of a drifter kid.
You do? Great.
Not in real life, but in our movie.
By the way, talking
like-
pet, I love this. So, Professor, it starts off like any old We're Back
I
dinosaur
don't know
story
if I like
remake.
the framing device of a T-Rex telling a story to a bird.
But you like a dog telling a story to a bird.
I mean, I guess it could be that. Almost like the Doctor has already used this. What do we want to stick with cereal, or we want to make it something more serious?
I think brain grain cereal is the thing, but it's not
Yes.
like it's like a mass produced cereal. It's like in his that's what
In
he
his
like
lab.
calls it. Yeah, in his lab. And he probably makes it as a base, like to make it delicious. He starts it off with some like Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Naturally,
Love that.
yeah.
But I like the idea of having him maybe first act testing the brain grain cereal on the dog, and it works, and it's like this breakthrough. It's like we can Captain New Eyes.
I'm sorry, because I'm reading, this is the way the Wikipedia says, a scientist, comma, Captain New Eyes, no explanation why he is a captain, like how he is.
He's a scientist.
Yes, a scientist, comma, obviously Captain New Eyes, obviously.
Well, we saw in the trailer that he's like flying a boat through the air somehow, like a pirate ship.
Was that Captain New Eyes or was that Dr. Screw Eyes or Professor Screw Eyes? Again, two completely
Eyes.
different characters.
And then there's Susie Two Eyes and Billy Small Eyes.
Yes. No, Susie Two Eyes and then like Billy Three Eyes, but it's actually just the letter I in his name. There's three eyes in his name.
It's Biilly.
A scientist who is obviously a captain.
Captain Noise, but yeah, so he experiments with the cereal. He gives it to his dog. The dog begins to talk. It can walk on 2 feet. It is basically he's successfully anthropomorphized this dog, and so his plan of doing it to dinosaurs is, I guess that's the plan, is to go back in time and
Yes, but it goes wrong. He goes into the future.
Ooh, I like that.
And gets kaiju because that's where they're from. Where are kaiju from? Can we go quick look up kaiju? Because I don't actually know why.
I mean, kaiju, it's usually kaiju like the Godzilla stuff. That's all due to nuclear testing.
You're
all of
right.
these.
Yes.
But that's not the only kaiju that you can have. Like it could be in the future because of global warming and all these different factors. There were kaiju that developed and grew over, decades. Or it could just be other world, like a Cloverfield style thing where it's aliens from another world that are, have come down and taken over or something. We can run the gamut.
I do like the idea of hinting at a horrible future for Earth. that is just a plot device.
And instead of like trying to save it, it's like you anthropomorphize a kaiju who's like a nice guy and like try to tell the kaiju, like when you go back to the future, like bring the lessons you learned to try to build a better future or something. Or like he makes friends Oh, that could be the whole thing. The humans make friends with this kaiju so that in the future when they come to take over, like the humans think they're going to take over the world, they're already befriended ones, so they know that they can actually just be friends with the kaiju, and it makes the future better because friendship.
Well, hang on. The kaiju can't be aliens. Is that what we're talking about?
Sorry, I just meant like...
Here's why. Because a character is an alien named Vorb. Like Captain New Eyes sends Vorb into the...
Well, that could be a different species of... Like, I'm just thinking like if the kaiju in the future come from space, a la The Thing or Cloverfield, then, you know, maybe in the future they come and Earth thinks it's an attack on their species, so they try to kill all the kaiju. It causes, you know, calamity.
Ooh, that's fun. That's actually this idea of having it happen not too far in the future, but literally like a week in the future.
That could be interesting. And then
the third act
throughout the movie, they figure out that these kaijus are friends. So when they attack, sorry, continue.
No. You can interrupt me all you want. I was like just going, hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
The third act, so the second act is like the fun of giant kaiju, like not meaning to, you know.
Yes.
And by the midpoint, they've destroyed half of New York and killed millions. And and they're you know, and they didn't mean, it's like whoops. And
I love the idea too. They can talk and stuff because of the cereal that they ate.
Yes, and it's made them like humanized too because they can talk, they can communicate, and so they're like, we're sorry, and they're able to when the other aliens come. Like it's kind of like, you know, the Iron Giant. The third act is about that like battle between being a villain and being a good guy, but it's actually externalized in two versions of the character because their selves are going to arrive on Earth and they can like talk their, you know, bad guy selves out of being...
Talk to themselves from the future, like an alternate reality version, basically.
And then it become a showdown between them and their other selves, because maybe Brain Grain doesn't just... Like maybe the dog he gives it to is a rabid dog, and then we can see that.
Oh no! I just thought of the dead hostages thing that is on the idea board.
Yeah,
about
I love, by the way, that we came to this being like, I just really want to make a movie with dead hostages. Like I've wanted to for forever.
I'm just thinking. Well, of course, the tone, the kaiju have to be witty to one another, but I'm just thinking about if there's a bank being like, you know, someone holding people hostage in a bank for money or whatever, and it's a serious scene, and then the whole bank gets annihilated by a kaiju's foot coming down on it, and suddenly like there's a bigger problem than this bank heist. And it like tilts up and there's a huge kaiju like terrorizing the city.
It's absolutely dark and terrible, and I'm in. I love it.
Yeah, it's demented.
Are we going with an alien named Vorb? I think we should just cut Vorb. I think it's just Captain New Eyes goes. Yeah,
but we could have like the professor. What if we kind of made Screw Eyes and like a military general as opposed to a scientist, almost like he.
No. Again, Captain New Eyes is a good guy and a scientist, obviously. Okay. Professor Screw Eyes is an exhibitionist, like a evil Barnum and Bailey type who recruits kids and tricks them into being in his circus, which is
we got to figure out what now with 16 minutes up, we got to figure out what the actual like our story with our villain, because in the original movies, what is Screw Eyes like end goal? Does it have anything to do with the dinosaurs, or is it just about the kids?
I believe. Oh my god! He who was running the horror-themed eccentric circus. Unaware of Screw Eyes' sinister nature, the children sign a contract to perform in his troupe. When the dinosaurs arrive to save Louie and Cecilia, Screw Eyes devolves the children into chimpanzees using brain drain pills that are the polar opposite of brain grain.
Oh my god.
The dinosaurs reluctantly consume the pills, which cause them to lose their intelligence and revert to their natural forms, in exchange for Screw Eyes restoring Louie and Cecilia to humans and releasing them. The next morning, a clown named Stubbs, who works for Professor Screw Eyes, informs the two kids about Screw Eyes' plan to exploit the dinosaurs for their scare potential. So
that's dark.
He kidnaps children, devolves them into chimpanzees. That's his main thing. That's like his passion. That's what he's doing in his normal world.
But
and
he basically reversed the brain grain cereal to make it a backwards thing. My thing with our story now about these kaiju coming, they are good guys. They're attacked by the military, and like it's this classic kaiju thing where they're trying to do good, but they're so big and they're causing all this havoc that they're seen as a threat. And then our big story here is them trying to become friends with everyone and like sort of unite themselves and humankind so that there's not like total annihilation. I'm trying to think of a villain's purpose would be, because we still have our kids helping create that unity, because the kaiju themselves wouldn't be. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what is the Screw
I'm
Eye's
thinking the
purpose
kids
in
should
this new one?
be. We should instead. The kids should be Marty McFly to New Eyes' Doc, and like they should already know Professor New Eyes.
I like that.
And Captain New Eyes. Forgive me. It seems so obvious and clear that the scientist would be the professor, but no, he's the captain. Clearly, the goal here is. I mean, they got it here that like when he uses the brain drain, he devolves the dinosaurs back into like animalistic form. So it's really about, we don't do that to our main characters. We just have their animalistic forms like show up. It's like we're moving toward this moment in the future.
Yeah.
So the first act is like, he's like, I'm going to go back and get some dinosaurs. And why? I forgot why he wanted to do it so that,
why does anybody want to get dinosaurs? They want to...
No, not New Eyes. New Eyes wanted children in the present day to see real dinosaurs. He basically was like, show the children dinosaurs. So he's created brain drain, and he goes into the past, and he's like, it looks very similar to the present day. It's like literally they're on a city street. He's like... Yeah. Literally in a city street, and they turn and they're like, oh, hey, that's me getting hot dogs. And he's like, looks at his agenda, and he's like, oh, that's on I was planning to get a hot dog. And he looks at his calendar. It's like a next week. Is he going to go?
I had on my calendar to get a hot dog.
Get a hot dog next week. Oh my God, we're in a week into the future. And so that's kind of set up. Well, let's like, and while they're in the future, they're like, we better get back. There's a big crashing sound. Everyone's running, and they look up and they see this giant like ship coming down to Earth, and these giant kaiju come out, and they're like, oh, well, we'll just save everybody real quick. Like we have this whole sequence where they're running from kaiju.
I think it's got to be like big thing, like crash in the
big
river
old,
or something.
Yeah, big old like
and
meteors.
and then they emerge like out of the like, and it's
and so this is fun because we're like, I don't know where this movie's going, like, and they're running from kaiju, and then they're like, wait, why don't we use the brain drain to like help it, like everybody? And so they do that.
They got to figure out to get this little cereal into these huge kaiju.
And so that's like this awesome fun sequence that we see them do at the and they do it, and then that's when the time machine starts working, or whatever the time like thing that they couldn't get to work, like, and it sends them back into the present, or the timer. They're on some timer that's going to send them back after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And it sends them back to the present day, and they look around and, oh shit, we brought these kaiju with us. And the kaiju are super nice and talking, but they are absolutely kaiju, which is what the movie should be called. It's not called We're Here, a Kaiju Story.
Absolutely kaiju.
I don't know. I still really like We're Here, a Kaiju Story.
It's got to be it's a remake, so we gotta have the
We're Here.
I guess reboot. I guess
so
it'd be like
this is fun because it totally like if you even gave a crap about the original, we do start it off pretty similar, and then we just subvert the whole thing very quickly.
Yeah, so that could be sort of our, if Act 1 is we meet, do we want to, what are the names and the kids? I'm trying to look for the kids.
Louie and Cecilia.
Louie and Cecilia.
They're just, let's make them brother and sister.
Yeah, brother and sister, and they are best friends with Captain New Eyes.
And I'd like it if they
a mentor figure, sort of.
Yes, and I love it if he's like very aware, like, you probably shouldn't hang out with me without other adults, or like.
And Cecilia, I feel like Cecilia is like actually into the science stuff with him, and Louis just like wants to be. he just is into these sort of classic '90s boy stuff.
Oh, this is in the '90s. Perfect, got it.
I mean, right? Shouldn't it be in the? I feel like '90s would be good because it's like I don't know, technology is at a weird spot where it's like in between the modern day and the 80s sort of
100%.
So we have them and Captain New Eyes tests out the brain drain cereal,
but then you're right, keep going.
Captain New Eyes maybe at the very beginning tests it out and it doesn't work. Maybe he's
on
testing
a rabid dog. He tries it on a rabid dog.
Yeah, there you go. Do we want it to work immediately?
Clocks. It's like the clocks at the beginning of Back to the Future, like, all going off at the same time or whatever. Like,
I love that we're using these different, we're making him sort of dog proud.
Right?
It's great.
And so Louie and Cecilia need some kind of like normal everyday, like their normal life thing that's like a parallel that our story can actually play out. Maybe there's a bully in their life that they don't like that they're a bully. Maybe Louis is kind of a bully and Cecilia's. No, I'm trying to think of someone who.
It could be fun too, like at their school, they sneak out some of the brain grain stuff. There's a bully at school or something, and they give like some of the brain grain cereal to like a bird or a squirrel or something, and then like tell them to like go after a bully or something, but it goes wrong. Like if there's like some sort of seeing the brain grain stuff work in their lives apart from Captain
they
New
don't
Eyes.
see it work first. They try it on the rabid dog and nothing happens, right?
Yeah, that's
then,
good. I like that.
Then they're like, oh, we're late for school. We got to go.
Then he can come back later.
And they go to school. Yeah. But then they go to school with like a Ziploc bag of brain grain, like in the bag by accident, like grabs it thinking it's his snack or something, or knows that it's a brain grain, but it's in his bag. Gets to school. There's some bully that's picking on them and like takes their lunch or food. And he's like eating the brain grain. And they're like, did you eat that? No, it's probably fine. It's probably fine. And we forget about it. And then that night or late, like the next day, whatever, that dog is now like, they show up and the dog like talks to them. Like the second they get there, the dog is like, oh, he's not home. He went to the grocery store. They're like, oh, thanks. That was a dog.
What?
That dog just what? So then we
it's like, oh, he went to the grocery store. Thanks. Wait,
exactly. Exactly. Double take. So then we'll check back in with the bully. Like some point at the beginning of Act 2, we'll realize this bully is now like a genius, right? And the bully wants to know where he can get more. Wants to get
increase his intelligence.
Super nice
tenfold.
And super smart, and wants to know where he can get more of that brain grain. And then we forget about him until the third act, where he shows up as a full-on Avenger, like superhero, who is like.
It's giving him powers.
Yes, exactly. He's like superhuman and saves all of them. Like that 100% has got to happen.
He almost saves the hostages. Okay, yeah, kids go to school, bully eats brain grain, they move on. And then we can basically go travel to past. Them trying to travel to the past can be sort of the end of Act 1. And then, the break into Act 2 is like they're actually in the future.
So the dog talks, and when they realize he talks, like that's when Captain New Eyes shows up, gets back home, and he's like, "We're going on a whatever." Like he's like ready to go. He's getting all of his stuff together, and they're gonna go. And that's when they immediately go into the past, right?
Yeah.
We have to also set up that he's a big dinosaur, like and really loves dinosaurs.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess the first shot almost could be like play on Back to the Future instead of clocks everywhere. It's like all this dinosaur memorabilia and like research and scribbles and all this like kind of like he's like crazy about dinosaurs and figuring out time travel and all that stuff. I guess the time travel to me almost plays funnier if it just like it's a normal thing. Like
here's my time machine. Yeah, 100% just has it.
Wait, you have a time machine? It's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
I'm a captain.
I'm a captain, which absolutely doesn't explain anything. It's
the classic Ghostbusters "I'm a scientist" line.
Yep, but it's even less helpful
and less funny.
But that's our pitch. It's like Ghostbusters, but less funny.
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Ghostbusters. Abandoned theme park. I think we can kind of say like they try to disguise themselves. Like once they get back to the present day. So
there needs to be like a big set piece when they first arrive and them getting them the brain grain cereal. And it could be like this, there's not a military presence yet. It's just sort of kaiju are there terrorizing the city because they don't know what to do. They're just kind of walking around, but people are running and screaming, thousands dead, unintentionally.
Act 1. We have sequence 1 of Act 1. A scientist, obviously a captain, brain grain cereal to rabid dog. Kids go to school, bully eats brain grain, they move on. Next day, dog talk, double take, brain grain works, and we're going to the past. That's just sequence 1 of Act 1. Then we have sequence 2, which is they go to the past. They're actually 1 week into the future. Kaiju show up. At first they run because this is nice, because this is the refusal of the call sequence. So they're running from the kaiju. Then they realize, hey, wait, let's just give these things the brain grain and we can save humanity. Realize they can save everyone. Give them the brain grain. It's a whole action adventure sequence.
Have Bully from school show up and he can fly or something.
Not yet. We don't want to give away that way yet. We want to save that.
That's true. We want
to
wait. We want to wait towards the end.
And then they do it. They save everyone, and then their time machine sends them back. And Act 2, they are back and realize
in order for the time machine to work, they all have to hold hands.
Well, I was just saying when they get back, the kaiju are there, right? And that's now we're into Act 2, and that's the hijinks.
They don't know that the kaiju are going to come back with them. Yes.
Exactly. They make them better and they make whatever, and then they come back by accident. And so now
that's when they have to like hide at the abandoned theme park, etc. We need to also introduce Screw Eyes somewhere as well.
And that is right here. We are now in Act 2 in Sequence C. They're back. They realize the kaiju are here. Oh, crap. We have hijinks and fun, trying in the suburban area, like trying to hide these kaiju. So then they take the kaiju and they are in the city, wherever, New Eyes lives, and they take the kaiju
somehow hiding these huge.
Yeah. And they hide them at the abandoned theme park.
Yeah.
And then at the abandoned theme park is probably where we find Screw Eyes. Screw Eyes then gets introduced because we're now in Act 2. And the beginning of Act 2 are B-story.
It's abandoned, but he has a little lair, or like he lives at this abandoned theme park, and it's like he hears this like doom doom. He like peeks behind his little weird little curtain or whatever and sees them, and it's like holy shit.
Because it's his old theme park, and he's been like living there, but now he's like, I can revitalize my theme park. I can bring
make
it
them
back.
An attraction.
Yes. And so we have like hijinks, like Act 3 is all about...
I think it'd be great if these kaiju that are like, were just seen killing thousands of people in the previous scene before they were
Amorphized.
It's hard to say. Yes. If they're just really funny, kind of like wacky, like normal talking.
Yeah.
Like people. It's like just like you and me. They have normal voices.
Oh, they're like Korg from
Thor
exactly. Ragnarok.
Yes.
They're 100% just...
That Hema pulled you off?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's the vibe. So, by the way, I actually think Screw Eyes should be a military general, like you said. I think we should go back to that. Screw Eyes is a military general because at the beginning of the sequence, it'd be like, they realize the kaiju are there.
Why would it be in the abandoned theme park, though?
No, he's not. So they hide them at the abandoned theme park, so we get to check that off. But then we cut to the military base, and they're like, sir, we picked up something, blah, 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 in the blah, blah, blah region. Like, I don't know. It's something we've never seen before. Also, some asteroids are coming. Seems like, which one should we prioritize? Like, well, let's prioritize the thing that's here on Earth. And so we're setting up that third act event that we know is coming next week.
Yeah.
Okay, how time-wise? Are we out of time?
We have exactly 1 minute left, so we can crank this out.
So then Act 3, but we work toward Act 3 after the midpoint, then being discovered by the general. Like they're discovered, they're in the open, Screw Eyes, and so
General Screw Eyes.
And then and then Act 3 is all about like basically them being captured by Screw Eyes.
He only has one Screw Eye, but there's multiple. Like the name is plural.
Yep.
Discovered. I think it needs to be like a huge military attack on them and at the abandoned theme park, huge set piece where they're almost like talking like, no, don't do it. Like they now are in a defensive mode as opposed to the first scene where it seemed offensive or offensive because they're being attacked by these, and none of the missiles and guns and stuff do anything to them. They're like way too strong. It's a classic like we're not going to be able to stop these guys.
Yeah.
But maybe they surrender themselves to try because they're peaceful, people or whatever, captured. And of course, the military wants to do something terrible to these kaiju. They don't trust them, even though they're interrogating. How funny would it be? The military interrogating these huge kaiju that are like the size of buildings.
I love it so much.
And then, eventually the meteors arrive. It's the kaiju from the future that aren't anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
They're basically attacking. They see themselves.
Our heroes are like, they have to convince Screw Eyes to let them go so they can battle or like, talk down their other selves.
We should probably have it to where it's like the present, let's just say the bad kaiju. Maybe they can't understand the kaiju that ate the brain grain. They like can't communicate to each other. So that kind of creates a, because if they could communicate with each other, it'd just be like,
if they ate the brain grain, they can still communicate with roars and grunts.
That's true. But
are you saying they should do a brain drain so they can trust that their personalities will still stay, like that their humanity will still remain?
That's because I think it'd be interesting, if they're brain drained by the military so that like they can't communicate with us anymore, but they could still communicate with each other to try to, tell them like they're good people, like this is a good planet.
And they weaponize them to fight the other kaiju that come. And so meanwhile, the kids are trying to like find them and give them the brain grain. And so we think that the whole goal is to re-give them the brain grain, but then they run out of brain grain. It's destroyed. And so the kids have to talk the dinosaurs or talk the kaiju into remembering who they are, right?
Yes.
They have to talk them into remembering their humanity.
Meanwhile, the bully from school is going around and saving people.
Yes, 100% showing up and saving them and saving people. Oh man, this movie's great.
Yes. And we're completely out of time.
Movie.
But we've got Abandoned Theme Park and Talking Pet out of our idea pool, which I think
Dead
is
hostages.
Dead hostages. We've got that. So I think 3 out of 5. I'm happy with that. That's 6 points.
100%.
And I don't want to just throw in a body swap and magical Christmas ornaments for the.
That's what the time machine is. They're magical Christmas ornaments that he has.
I'm going to say a resounding no.
Damn it.
We got our focus group, so let's pitch our movie, Seth.
All right, here they come.
Today, joining us on the Writers Room Game Show, he is a writer, he is a photographer, he's also, I guess, an actor now, too. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Daniels to the show.
Hello.
It's my pleasure to be here.
We got the claps. He did a bow for those that are joining us on audio. Jacob, we have a really fun movie to pitch you. I'm just going to get right into it, and I'll tell you what we had in terms of our assignment from the studio. Our genre for today is a kaiju movie.
Oh boy.
The tone is witty, which of course is kind of hard to portray in a pitch because most of that comes from dialogue. But our demographic is fans of Nacho Libre, which I assume you fit into.
That's me.
And the studio mandate is the studio wants in on some of that live action remake money. Pick an animated film to remake and remix in the live action space with an unlimited budget. So we've actually chosen
Naturally, we continue. Go ahead, Polly. Naturally, we chose
That's a lot of notes.
I was just going to say we picked a great animated movie from the 90s that I think is a little less popular, and I think it's due for a remake to bring it back to. Do you want to reveal what I'm hoping that you've seen this, Jacob. If not, it's totally fine.
The Don Bluth classic Steven Spielberg production, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. However,
absolutely.
So you're familiar with the film?
Yes.
All right. How familiar with the film are you?
I'm pretty familiar with it.
I
definitely know that it starts off with the boy like on a raft, and it's very 90s animation and the dinosaurs. Yeah. I've got like the voices and,
Yeah.
So 100% familiar, it sounds like. It sounds like you were fully...
I think I've seen it at one point, but we had to watch the trailer so that I could remember, the gist. And it's a pretty wild movie.
I would watch it on VHS at my cousin's house. It was
Nice.
one of their go-tos. It wasn't our go-to, but it was their go-to.
Grim. It's grim. You should have introduced more films to them. After reading the Wikipedia page and revisiting this, we're convinced that it is a bizarre film. However, I think we fixed it. I believe that we've created a reimagining of it that we're both actually very proud of and think is something we would genuinely go see.
Yes. If we had millions of dollars, we would absolutely make this. I also will say we added, this is our first episode of season 3, and we have a new kind of thing we added to the show, which is actually, we have a library of ideas that we filled out that are randomly generated, and we're given 5 ideas that we can incorporate into our movie idea for extra points. We were given magical Christmas ornaments, an abandoned theme park, talking pet, a body swap, and dead hostages. And we managed to fit 3 of those 5 into our idea as well.
Okay.
You'll see by the end. But our film
body swap seems like a no-brainer.
We'll see.
That's actually one. I won't spoil it.
It might be more of a brainer, but we'll see.
Our film is called We're Here, a Kaiju Story.
Okay.
And so I'm actually going to pass it off to Seth to start off our pitch.
Yeah, so Act 1, we open up, we meet a scientist who is obviously also a captain. He's named Captain New Eyes, yet he's a scientist. He's, no, you get it. He has created what he has nicknamed Brain Grain as this cereal that will basically, it's like this brain enrichment,
This is from the original movie, by the way.
Yeah, super brain enrichment like cereal thing that can actually anthropomorphize any animal living thing that doesn't talk or, act human and think, and can assumably enhance the brains even more of those who are already anthropomorphized. His goal here is that he wants to be able to give this to animals. He wants to be able to time travel and get dinosaurs and give them and feed a dinosaur so dinosaurs can teach children all about themselves. And so he has these 2 kids, Louis and Cecilia, who are kind of the Marty McFly to his Doc Brown. They come hang around his lab a lot.
Yeah, Cecilia is sort of like a science nerd. Louis just kind of he just wants to be around the action. He wants to blow stuff up. And they're brother sister.
They're hanging around, and at the beginning of the film, we meet the characters. Captain New Eyes is giving the brain grain to a rabid dog that he's rescued from a pound, and the rabid dog shows no results. We're excited to talk to this dog, and then no results whatsoever. The kids are late for school. They run to school. For some reason, they were there before school. Who understands? Head to school. And they encounter this bully. We haven't named him yet. He's a bully. And
We'll
the
just call him Bully.
steals their lunch at school and eats it. And it includes the brain grain that they accidentally had in their bag. And they're like, and so we get this funny moment where the bully actually eats the brain grain and nothing happens, whatever. They move on. We find a way to make that scene make sense and need to exist on its own. The next day, they show up at Captain New Eyes' lab.
Captain New Eyes.
And he's not there. And the dog informs them that he's out of the store. He'll be back in a second. They're like, oh, thank you. And then they do a double take and realize the dog is talking. The brain grain apparently works. It just has a delayed response. Captain New Eyes comes back and he's like, it works. And I know exactly what we're going to do with this. And know exactly what we're going to do with this. And he goes and he gets his time machine. He has a time machine? Yeah, of course. He's a captain. So he gets his time machine that he naturally has in his lab. We don't make anything of it. It's just natural. Just we blow right past it that he has a time machine.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Why,
yes, you can. No, what's up?
Just why did we go for a captain instead of a professor?
That is a question for Don Bluth or Steven Spielberg. We do not know. It is.
And the original movie, the good guy is named Captain New Eyes.
And he's a scientist.
And the bad guy is named Professor Screw Eyes.
And he's not a scientist. So who knows? They get this time machine, and that's the end of our first sequence of Act 1. They travel to the past. They're going to find some dinosaurs, right? And they're going to anthropomorphize them and film them and get all this great research, and they're going to come back.
Yeah. So they travel to the past, or so they think. It looks exactly like the present, and so Captain New Eyes is like, oh, that's interesting. It kind of looks a lot more similar.
It's like a metropolitan area. Like it's
he's walking around in
a
city street, and he looks over, and he's he sees himself buying a hot dog, and he's like, oh, I was going to buy a hot dog next week at this time. He's like, oh no, we traveled 1 week into the future. At which point, some meteors hit the Hudson River, and then from the water emerge huge kaiju. Probably four or five huge sort of Godzilla-esque, Pacific Rim-esque kaiju that just start terrorizing the city. They're like, within a few minutes, there's hundreds dead. And it's like, we're suddenly in this big kaiju movie. People are running. That was people screaming.
Yeah. I looked around. I was like, where are they?
Captain New Eyes, Cecilia, and Louie remembered that they have brain drain, and they're like,
brain grain. Sorry, it's important.
Brain grain cereal. And they're like, well, we were going to use this on the dinosaurs, but maybe it'll work on these kaiju.
And we can save everybody, right?
Yes.
So go ahead.
And so they figure out a way to get the kaiju, the brain grain cereal.
And it's this big, awesome action sequence. And remember, I just want to remind you, we are still in the first act of the movie. This is still the audience is like, man, we're getting a ton right off the top. This is awesome, right? We're super thrilled. Keep going, Polly. Sorry.
Yes. So they figure we're still workshopping this, but they figure out a way to get the kaiju, this brain grain cereal. And the kaiju sort of they kind of stop for a moment, and then they just start talking and
oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
Taika Waititi as Korg and Thor Ragnarok, sort of very normal, down to earth, witty banter from these kaiju. And they're like, oh, and we realize that they're very apologetic. They're like, they don't know what they're doing. They're like, they don't want to hurt anybody.
Because the brain grain gave them not only the ability to talk, but gave them empathy and intellect and all of that.
Like when you accidentally step on a bug and you're like, oh.
Yes, exactly. You're driving and you see a squirrel like, no! Exactly, just like that. So anyways,
they've saved everyone, right?
They've saved everyone except the thousands that have died already.
Yeah. They've saved everyone going forward.
And so they're like, well, let's just, we've saved everyone here. Let's just go back to the past. This timeline, we've helped. Let's just go back home. So they go back in their time machine, and when they get back to the present, the kaiju have somehow come with them.
They turn around and they're like, and the guys are like, oh, where are we now? And they're like, okay, so we brought kaiju with us. All of the kaiju are now with them. And so now we're into Act 2. They're back in the present day.
Where are we now? And then they look at the camera and say, we're here.
Kaiju story. And then we smash cut to the opening title, as Polly loves to give a late game title. Boom. Now we're into Act 2. What are they going to do with these kaiju? So we get some fun hijinks of them trying to hide the kaiju and they figure out we'll hide them in this abandoned theme park in the park. So they have to kind of stand really still in this abandoned theme park and look like they are old wreckage of an abandoned theme park, right? So while they're figuring that out, I see you questioning it. Don't worry about it. It's totally
in the original
normal.
movie, I don't know if you remember, but the dinosaurs actually were in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade to blend in. They acted like they were big animatronic.
Floats.
Yeah, floats. And of course,
as we know, most floats are in the Macy's Day Parade are animatronic machines,
especially in the 90s. And of course, the T-Rex is singing pop songs with the entire crowd.
Roll back the rock. One pop song, that is.
Continue, Seth. They're in the abandoned theme park.
Yeah, and so then we cut to the Pentagon, and a military, like somebody like General Screw Eyes is who's this general who has a screw for an eye, one of his eyes. He's standing there looking at all of his charts, and important guy comes in and goes, "Sir, we have a situation. We've picked up a signal of some kind, blubbity, blubbity, blubbity. Something appeared over in New York that we don't understand. It was some kind of phenomenon. Also, it appear to be meteors coming toward the Earth. We're not sure which situation you want to prioritize." And he's like, "We prioritize the event in New York. We'll get to the meteors later." And we know the meteors are a big deal. They're the kaiju coming, but so we know that's probably coming. That's coming in a week. That's coming in this movie again, right?
Yeah.
But he wants to go figure out what this phenomenon is. And so cut away. That's going on in the background for, the first half of, we go with the traditional 3-act structure, but we cut Act 2 in half. So we're going to refer to Acts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, but Acts 2 and 3, if you're familiar with most 3-act structures, is actually, the traditional Act 2. So, but just going forward, we're going to say 1, 2, 3, and 4, just so you don't get confused. So Act 2 is all about like the fun hijinks of like having these giant kaiju in present day, while in the background, we know this general and the military are coming to look for them. The midpoint has the general showing up and finding them. They're discovered by General Screw Eyes.
He's brought a whole battalion of army, Marines, and all this stuff.
And I think Act 3 is the pursuit. Like, is Screw Eyes pursuing them, discovering them, pursuing them, and then capturing them, right, Paulie?
Yes, exactly.
You keep going. You want to take it from here?
No, yeah. So they're discovered by Screw Eyes, and then they've started. The military makes a plan. Screw Eyes is also, I think, we've established now, is sort of based on the character from the original movie.
Are New Eyes and Screw Eyes related?
Inexplicably, no.
Okay, all right. Didn't know if
for
they
some
were
reason,
cousins or brothers or.
Oh, we should also mention. Sorry, Cecilia's last name is 2 Eyes, and Louis' last name is 3 Eyes. So none of which are related. Although I think Louis and Cecilia are brother and sister, though they have different surnames. Continue, Polly.
By the end of our Act 3, sort of at 9 o'clock of the clock, Screw Eyes has captured these kaiju, and of course the kaiju are very apologetic. They sort of almost surrender after all these missiles and guns and stuff are shooting at them. They're like, it's not affecting them at all. They're these, in classic Godzilla fashion, it's like you can't just take it down with a missile. But
can I also throw something in that I forgot to mention in my? I'm so sorry, Polly. We also check back in at some point in this sequence, in the third sequence where they're running from General Screw Eyes. We actually encounter the bully from Act 1, who is now like super sweet and nice and super smart and has empathy because he ate that brain grain cereal at the beginning. We forgot about it, and so he wants to help them however he can, and he asks and he wants to know if they have, and he sees the brain grain in the lab and can't help himself, and we forget about that later. But the idea is that it does start the movie does start by this point is having interesting conversations with our kaiju and with our main characters about the nature of what separates like a monster and an animal from not an animal, someone who is we're talking about humanity and about what makes you what gives you humanity and what doesn't is blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and Louis is like, we're better because we have thumbs, and the kaiju are like, I can shoot lasers from my mouth, and he's like, all right.
What has 2 thumbs and inherent empathy? This guy. Yep.
And it's all witty.
All witty.
The best thing to say in a pitch.
Yeah, this whole time we're getting that rat-a-tat, witty dialogue, banter back and forth between these characters.
The studio loves to hear that.
In the last hour?
So
anyways, but they're on the run, and then eventually they surrender because they're like, we just need to go with them, tell them we want to be peaceful. But Screw Eyes ends up taking them in, sort of interrogating these kaiju somehow in these huge, with megaphones and stuff. And then eventually Screw Eyes, because he was able to get a hold of the brain grain cereal, somehow reverses the brain grain and creates brain drain, which is reversing it and sort of trying to brainwash the kaiju so that they could use them as a military weapon, a la Iron Giant or something. And
so he does it. He does it to him.
And he does it. And the kaijus become back
to
their normal
the plural
kaiju
is
self.
Kaiju, is it not? Isn't the plural kaiju?
I guess, yeah, kaiju.
Come on, Polly.
You're right. Sorry.
We're writers.
Seth had to make me sound like an idiot on our podcast.
I didn't say it. You said it.
But anyways, so they're sort of brainwashed, and now they're super violent kaiju. And of course, it backfires on Screw Eyes, and the kaiju sort of break out and sort of start marching back to New York City. And right when this happens, they arrive in the city, and just like we saw before, the meteors from the future hit, and the kaiju, just as they arrived in Act 1, are back. And now we have the kaiju from the future and the kaiju in the present that are battling, and we have our human characters in the middle.
And so here's what's going on. The humans believe, like, they're like, okay, we got to get the brain grain at least to our guys, like our heroes. So we got to get it to the brain grain to them, get them back so they can become good guys again and help us. And so that's like the goal of during the fourth act, is to, like, our humans are trying to, like, get to the good guys, the hero kaiju, who are battling their other kaiju selves. And they're like, we give them the brain grain, they'll not only not hurt all these people, but not hurt their other selves and each other too. Like, we're trying to help everybody win here. So our goal is to try and get this brain grain to the main kaiju. And then of course we get them up to the point where we think they're going to succeed at it. And then when they lose, it's destroyed. All the brain grain is destroyed and all hope is lost now. Somewhere in here, by the way, for fun, right when the characters are about to be like in the dire situation, the bully flies in like a full-on superhero with superpowers and rescues them because he ate even more brain grain and is now evolved into a superhuman person. Is basically like, he's almost like the blue guy from Watchmen. And that's where we're going to take the character all the way to the end, by the way.
With pants on, right?
With pants on.
With pants on.
100% with pants on.
This is for fans of Nacho Libre. So we're not, this is barely PG-13.
Oh my God. Like, he has a towel or I can't decide if it's like a swimsuit he has on or like whatever it is, but it's like clearly.
I like sort of a tropical swimsuit.
Yes, 100%. And so the kids, Louis and Cecilia, they talk down, like Cecilia can, without any brain grain, is able to like gives this rousing speech to our hero kaiju and reminds them.
Because the kaiju have developed this relationship with these kids. They're sort of like close friends now. She's able to get through to him by talking to them and trying to make them remember who they are and why they're here and what they're trying to do. And so they eventually get through to these kaiju, and they're able. Seth, what did we talk about? How did it end with the present kaiju? Did they talk it out?
Oh, they're able to they end up roaring to the other kaiju and like it works because we'll have some kind of like callback, like some kind of like something that doesn't require them to say words that can show us and the characters that they're remembering who they were when they were on the brain grain, and so then they can go and they clearly talk down the other kaiju and get everybody to like a good place. We don't know what our final image is yet.
Maybe it's them just sort of swimming into the ocean and leaving everyone alone, a la Godzilla. But I think by the end,
it's so cold as they're going into the ocean.
Yes. But I think Screw Eyes, something happens where a bunch of the brain drain like syringes like fall on him.
Oh, Beethoven, full Beethoven style. You're hitting the main character with a tray of syringes.
I forget that happens at Beethoven. It's
it does.
violent.
Wait, this is Screw Eyes, right?
Yes. Screw Eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
New Eyes perished in Act 3. I just decided he went full on Obi-Wan and died.
And that's what causes the kaiju to really turn. They see his dead body and they remember.
I was thinking that makes them angry and makes the generals. It gives them a moment of weakness, and the generals capture them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that too. Anyways, that's our movie. We're here. A kaiju story. Do you have, before we ask our focus questions, do you have any thoughts, comments, concerns?
Well, as a major fan of Nacho Libre, I'm just wondering, is Jack Black going to be voicing one of the kaiju?
Oh, yeah,
or is he
the main
going
kaiju.
to be pulling double duty as...
I imagine Jack Black as Captain New Eyes.
Oh, interesting. You don't think he's the main kaiju?
Duty.
That's true. He could
play Captain New Eyes and General Screw Eyes.
That's
and
fun.
One of the kaiju. He could just full on Jumanji and play several. Yeah, we're in. I'm into that.
He can do multiple. I like Jack Black as sort of a demonic, but with a good heart.
Didn't he do that in an Amblin film, an Eli Roth Amblin movie?
He did the House with the Clock on its Walls.
Yeah, he was also in Goosebumps. That's why I kind of wonder if
Goosebumps, the Snarlstein sort of thing. Yeah,
but he could be. Yeah, he could be.
I think Jack Black's definitely in the movie. I think Mike White could easily write this movie, like he did in Nacho Libre.
Probably
brother. Who's Mike White?
He wrote Nacho Libre. He's Ned Schneebly in School of Rock.
Also wrote School of Rock.
Schneebly.
Oh, that's true. He did write School of Rock.
Yeah.
On the Nacho Libre front, I think the movie's a masterpiece. Like, genuinely, I quote it at least like 3 times a week, and it's beautiful. Like, last time I watched it, I cried
agree.
In the final wrestling match. But also, is that, like, aside from obviously changing from the dinosaurs into kaiju, is that what that movie was?
We took a lot of liberties. There's a weird like alien named Vorb.
Voiced by Jay Leno.
And It's true. And,
hang on. Can I tell you the cast? All right, ready? This is the dream cast from the 90s. So sorry, podcast listeners, if you've heard it before. So, starring John Goodman, Martin Short, Jay Leno.
Tell me Rosie O'Donnell's in there somewhere.
Julia Child.
The real Julia Child?
Your real Julia Child. And Walter Cronkite.
What?
Yeah, that's the cast of We're Back, A Dinosaur Story.
The 90s was a weird time.
Oh, I mean, this movie was a weird time. And there's this whole story. Professor Screw Eyes in the original is actually like this like twisted Barnum and Bailey circus leader who like, it's very Pinocchio-ish. He has brain drain that like devolve. He like tricks kids into working in a circus and he drains their brains to devolve them into chimpanzees.
Oh my goodness.
It's dark. Yeah.
I do remember it being kind of dark, but that's, yeah.
Do you remember how Professor Screw Eyes dies? I feel like everyone I know who's seen this movie remembers this.
No, I don't remember. I remember like the dinosaurs going dark at the end. I remember like them losing their minds.
Yeah, he brain drains them.
Yeah.
And then they come back, but then the crows that he has in his circus, you don't remember the crows like flocking onto his body for a second and then flying away and just his one screw eye falling on the ground?
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Renee, will you play the clip for us real quick?
Brother, wait. When I am alone, when I have no one to scare, I get very frightened myself. The crows could...
Wow, that was dark. We all just watched it.
Love it. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions, Jacob. And these questions are rate 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, obviously. That's how numbers work. So, would you see this movie? 1 to 10.
I am out on basically all live action remakes at this point. Disney is really
just by principle.
It's
even if it's good, even if it's this good.
I mean, this would be the one that would pique my interest because I'm like, you're really digging deep into the catalog to be doing We're Back again.
So 10.
We're back.
We're here.
We're back again.
Yeah, we did it. The Dinosaurs sequel.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a wild premise. And if you're doing it the way that you're planning on doing it, I would.
So 1 to 10.
Out of curiosity, I'd put it at like a 7.
7. Wow, that was a roller coaster of emotions.
That was a
principle,
roller coaster of futility.
It doesn't sound like you're being too faithful to the original.
Yes, no, we really wanted to be unique and stand on its own.
We didn't think it was important to stay faithful. We didn't think it was necessary to stay faithful. It was kind of a judgment call on our part.
Yeah, well, I mean, with all the live action remakes today, it's just like they're just doing the same thing again, but worse. So it's like, what's the point of this? So that's generally the way I feel about the live action remakes. But
cool. Would you recommend it to a friend? 1 to 10?
How likely would you scale?
How likely are you?
Recommending it.
Say you saw the movie. Yeah, and it was as good as we just described it.
As it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah, 9, 10.
10. Okay, I'm gonna let you type that, Seth.
Oh,
okay, so I'll repeat our assignment. 1 to 10. Our adherence to assignment. How well did we do? Kaiju movie. The tone was witty for fans of Nacho Libre, and the studio wants in on that live action remake money. Pick an animated film to remake with unlimited budget.
Well, we hit that unlimited budget part.
We did the unlimited budget. 1 to 10. How well did we do with that?
I'd say 6. I didn't really feel the Nacho Libre.
Yeah, I could see that.
We didn't pitch it. Yeah,
putting Jack Black in a role.
You put Jack Black in there. That like
I think with how we shoot it, if we shoot it sort of like that quirky Wes Anderson-y Nacho Libre, the sparseness and a lot of how it's shot. I think
it's 100% how we cast the kaiju. I think it's 100% how the kaiju talk. It's like Taika Waititi. It's why I go to Jack Black as one of them, because it's like Jack Black, Taika Waititi. Who are some other?
Just make them really stupid. Like throw in a lot of stupid jokes.
Okay, so the kaiju, the way that they fight would have to be Lucha Libre style. That would be the thing.
Oh, in.
That was
You know
sell
what?
it as
That's the
wrestling
whole
kaiju.
thing they get into. They get into that when
can
they're
train
when
them.
they're here. Like
They
they
can show
get
them
so
on a
into
big
it.
projector, old wrestling matches.
And that's what they bring back in the final act, like in the fight, 100%.
And then that's what they do, like after they're done, like, you know, accidentally destroying the city and killing thousands of people, is like they go off and they do lucha libre stuff in the desert or something.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so rate our overall idea, 1 to 10.
Did he freeze?
I think he froze right when he sighed.
You froze right on this.
I didn't freeze. I was
okay.
Yeah, it's like a 5, I guess. It's just like it's all over the place.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I feel like if you're doing, like, as much as I want you to change the original, you know, if you're doing a remake, at least change it. The dinosaurs were a big part of We're Back. Like, they had a lot of personality, obviously with John Goodman voicing them. So to make it kaiju, it would be, I don't know. It's just like, it's a difference in kind, but I don't know. It could work.
So did you change to a 6 or 5?
5. I'm going to stick with 5.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
so
sorry.
that's okay. So our focus group subtotal then is at a 28. Remind you, we have to get a 35 in order to sell this to the studio. The studio needs this to be a 35. So
well, we have our ideas as well. We incorporated an abandoned theme park.
We forgot to pitch him one of them.
Oh, a talking pet.
The dead hostages.
And then dead hostages, which is we actually part of it was like right when the kaiju arrived, there was going to be like a bank heist, and it was going to be this really serious thing, and then suddenly the bank is stepped on by a kaiju, and it's suddenly we tilt up and a kaiju's there, and it's like, oh no, there's a much more serious threat here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like the cop is like, this is the worst thing that could be happening today on my 3 days to retirement.
Just
I can't think of a single
afternoon.
thing. Exactly. And then kaiju steps on the bank and destroys the entire bank. Okay. My perspective is realigned now. So subtotal 28. Our ideas that we've I'm sorry, Paul, you were doing this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, our ideas, they count as 2 points each, so that's a total of 6 points, which brings our point total, unfortunately, to 34. 1 under. Selling our script.
Look, if you get Phil Lord and Chris Miller to direct this, like, I'm 10s across the board. Like, that's...
Oh, did we not include that? We forgot to say, sorry. Phil and Chris are in. They are writing and directing. Yeah.
They are experts at turning horrible movie ideas into incredible movies.
I would agree with that.
If only he knew we were too, Polly. If only he knew.
This isn't a horrible idea, but I totally agree with that.
Based on our pitch, 100%. Based on how we see it, no, totally disagree. Totally agree based on our pitch.
No, like all of the ingredients that you brought into it, I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a Phil Lord and Chris Miller kind of thing.
That's a great compliment, Jacob. We
Absolutely
thank you for that.
is.
And we thank you for coming on the show.
So much.
I'm sorry that I was not.
No. This is what we want. We want to earn this.
We appreciate when we have to actually work for it, and it's not just like, I'll give you an
Well, I mean, you had a challenge put before you. That was a whole mess of notes from what was the studio note?
The Mandate?
Mandate was just live action remake of an animated film.
We didn't have didn't get a wild card in the middle.
What was the curveball y'all got?
We actually didn't get one this episode.
Yeah.
We don't always get one this season. It's random.
Since we're incorporating those ideas.
I think the studio forgot they hired us, to be quite honest. Well, but boy, are they going to remember when we pitch them this.
I was just so interested in our idea that I forgot to do the old fax machine.
Oh, they're calling now. Too late, studio. Sorry. Although they are calling, I am curious what their wild card, what they are telling us the day of the pitch.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine what kind of wild card you could give it. It sounds like the entire thing was a wild card.
Oh, this is one of our easier ones.
Well,
really?
The studio wants us to make sure that in it, Tony Hawk. This is a mandate from a listener named Chad. Tony Hawk does a 1080. Is that different from a 180? Is that Tony Hawk shoots a film in 1080 or?
He spins around. That's like 3 full spins. It's a 1080.
Okay, so Tony Hawk has to do a 1080 in this. So we'll have him do that and then get stepped on and killed by a.
This would be. I mean, that's the 90s was Tony Hawk's heyday, right?
Or like Tony Hawk is the voice of one of the kaiju. I think that's makes no sense. It fits the cast of the original 100%.
Yes.
Kaiju get into lucha libre and skateboarding.
It's like a velociraptor. The Tony Hawk voices the velociraptor.
Oh, 100%. So it's like
extreme
Joan Jett, Walter Cronkite, Delroy Lindo, Jack Black, and
Tony Hawk.
And Tony
I'm
Hawk.
just imagining a dinosaur skateboarding and like grinding on the Golden Gate Bridge and then like tripping and falling and just like obliterating San Francisco.
Oh, I love that. That's one cutaway. Like, what did you just? Where were you? What did you do? Oh, nothing. Obliterating all of San Francisco.
The Writers Room Game Show with me, Ryan Pauly, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.
So, by the way, the San Francisco joke that we just spitballed in there, I'm saying this in case Rene wants to include it as an Easter egg or a post-credits thing, whatever.
Post-credits, yeah.
It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes, my favorite jokes from Last Man on Earth. Have we talked about this?
No.
They've shown up in San Francisco. They've made this huge trek, and they're going to we're going to get to San Francisco, and we'll live there. And they get there, and it's just all been burned to the ground. Like, all of San Francisco is just gone. They're like, how could this have happened? And then you push on Will Forte, and he remembers this.
If you're going to San Francisco, make sure to set up all the fireworks at a fireworks factory. Now that is a fireworks show.